So there's been this interesting narrative that's been going on that Drew Brees is no longer good. I don't really know if I agree with this narrative. In fact, I definitely don't. Just looking at the numbers, you can clearly see why the narrative is not very true. I mean, in his past 4 games, his passer rating was 138, 148, 118, and 123. So he's clearly still got it, in my opinion. One of the things that you hear that's often talked about as a negative is, has he lost his deep ball? I don't really think so. Like, you can find examples like a play like this. It's a cover three zone. He has a receiver running deep, so it's a route that's probably not going to get open, but could maybe get open. And after the ball is snapped, honestly, this just isn't even really a smart throw for him to make. There's not really a window, but Breeze is going to take a chance here. He's going to try to fire one downfield, see if something can work out. And it's just a regrettable decision because, there was a small window, but he underthrows it a tad. And honestly, there was basically no window, just not a smart decision from Breeze. And also, the throw could have been better, but, wasn't really that bad. However, let's also be honest. And typically, you don't say, well, that throw could have been better from Drew Brees because, when it's inside 20 yards, he almost always is accurate. So I think it is fair to bring that up as a negative, that he is a little bit worse in deep balls. Honestly, part of me wonders if he just missed the safety deep, which would have made sense on that play. But again, the reality is, forget about this one play for a second, and just in general, New Orleans didn't necessarily have a ton of great burners that would run down the field, and they just didn't throw the ball down the field that much. That wasn't really their game. And, I can easily find a negative, I can easily find a positive. Like this play, it's zone coverage to have two receivers running deep, so one of them is I believe it's Michael Thomas. He's going to run over the middle. That's going to get 41 to safety to move in. Then they can have another receiver run further in like that. He will be the one who gets open. And when this play develops, there is going to be an opening. It's not wide open. It's not a ton of separation, but there certainly is some separation here. And Breeze is going to make a very accurate throw down the field. Admittedly, it was broken up, but it was a good throw, and that's all we're judging is Drew Brees' throwing ability. And, it was a good throw down the field. So if you can find good examples and bad examples of him down the field, what should you do? Well, you should look at the numbers. And so that's what I'm going to do. So when he threw the ball over 20 yards down the field, he didn't do it that often. He was 17 for 35. He had 444 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, which was, a very impressive 98.5 passer rating until you remember that his overall passer rating throughout the season was 116.3. So despite the fact that he had nearly an 100 passer rating, his passer rating was still dropped by almost 20 points when he threw the ball further than 20 yards down the field, which is significant because almost all quarterbacks get a higher passer rating when they're throwing down the field. So to get that big of a drop off, clearly it says that, okay, whether it's him or the team, the deep ball is not something that the Saints really use too much. So I would say that's a fair critique of Breeze. I think so. The numbers do back that up. But at the same time, he's never been a great deep ball thrower. We know him as the most accurate quarterback in the league. The numbers don't lie. He's not the best at throwing the ball down the field, but he also doesn't do that too often, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think a lot of the reason that people are asking if Breeze is washed up is because the last time we saw him, it was him and the entire Saints offense getting beat by the Minnesota Vikings offense, and he didn't play particularly well in this game, but a huge part of it was the pressure up the middle. Like, if you look at, this is going to be a good example of that, where it's going to be a cover one play, and he has a receiver running a deep route. It's Michael Thomas, so that's who he wants to throw it to because, it's something that could get open. But right after the ball is snapped, you're going to notice that there's pressure from inside the tackles right here. And this is notable, I think, because Breeze, he actually doesn't get enough credit, I think, for his mobility. Not to say that he's like some super mobile guy, but he's, a little bit faster than people realize. However, he's also not Lamar Jackson, and he's not going to be able to run his way out of this situation. Most guys aren't. He's great at, working in the pocket and stepping up and moving around. He's like a boxer, but you can much more easily get around pressure when it's from an edged rusher than it is when it's, from someone up the middle. When it's like this, there's not really too much you can do. And this is why they drafted Cesar Ruiz in the first round. As you see, he tried to dump it off, which was a dumb decision by him. He made a few bad decisions in that Vikings game. I won't deny that. But as a whole, I think that there's a lot more than just he's old and can't play anymore. Really, the numbers don't back that up, and the tape doesn't back that up. I'm not saying he's certainly, who knows? He could fall off a cliff next year. There is that possibility when you get two older quarterbacks, but he hasn't fallen off a cliff yet. Let's talk about accuracy for a second, because, let's be honest. We know he's the most accurate quarterback to ever play football. No one will even argue that. I'm not saying he's the best, but he is the most accurate, and you could argue he's the best. But like this play, it's a cover 2 zone. You're going to have Michael Thomas. He's running a route that's going to try to get into a gap in coverage further down the field. So this is actually a bit of a deep throw. So, I said he can't throw it deep, but that's obviously not really what I was saying. I'm just saying that he, thrives way more at throwing within 20 yards. Again, he still nearly has 100 passer rating throwing the ball past 20 yards. But anyways, after the ball is snapped, you notice that this is a situation where there's not a ton of separation at all. It's going to take a very good throw. And a lot of quarterbacks shouldn't make this throw because it's a risk. But for Brees, he knows his accuracy, and he knows he can make plays like this. And he is just going to make an absolutely perfect throw. He had about a stop sign to get that one through, and that's exactly what he was able to hit. Which, again, just kind of goes to show how crazy his accuracy is. He's the most accurate quarterback ever. One thing I feel like we don't talk enough about is that the top 3 seasons of completion percentage were all Drew Brees, and they were all in his last 3 seasons. That's how crazy of a run he's been on, and for some reason, people are saying he fell off a cliff. It makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. And it's not just that, too. Yes, he's still accurate, but he's also 40 years old now. So really, there's no such thing as a 40-year-old quarterback who is dumb. Like on this play, it's a cover 3 zone, and those are the 2 routes on the bottom of the screen. And he's going to do something so subtle and so smart here. Oftentimes, high football IQ is things that are subtle, not things that are major. But watch how right when this play starts, Brees is going to look at number 10 right there, which is going to get 2 Carolina Panthers to kind of realize, hey, that looks like where he's going to throw the ball. He's staring him down. So most importantly, that Carolina Panther is going to move closer in to try to take away this route. And Brees isn't just looking there. He's getting ready to throw it there. So it seems logical to try to take away that route. But Brees is just, he probably knows, he probably watched tape and saw that Carolina Panther in zone coverage likes to read quarterbacks. So he's using this to his advantage. He pretends like he's throwing it there, but then throws it to the bottom of the screen. Just gets a player out of position and turns what would have only been like a 3 or 4 yard gain, if it was even a completion, into a first down. And again, small, subtle things like that is just what Brees does so well at this point in his career. And you see this with quarterbacks, the older they get while they can still athletically play, sometimes that's when they have their best seasons. Both Brett Favre and Peyton Manning had their best seasons statistically late in their career. And, the more reps you get, the slower the game goes. It's true even at that old of an age. You just, more repetitions, you get better and better and better. And there's one more thing that Brees has going for him, and it's that he has Michael Thomas, who's probably the best, maybe the best receiver in the game. It's him, or I would say it's him or DeAndre Hopkins. It's close. Or Julio Jones, too. You have to pick one of those 3 guys, but you can definitely argue he's the best in the game, and I wouldn't be mad at you. But this is the play. It's a cover 1 play. Thomas is running over the middle, and what's going to happen right once this play starts to develop is that you notice Michael Thomas, he's a little bit open, but not much. This is going to take a perfect throw. But again, I think you have a feeling, I think you guys have figured out where I'm going with this. Brees is going to make a perfect throw to Thomas, who is able to make the catch and then run very well after the catch and pick up even more yards. And that's kind of the chemistry they have together, is that, Brees makes Thomas look better, and then Thomas returns the favor by making Brees look better. I would actually argue that in terms of the Thomas-Brees connection, it's probably more Thomas than Brees. I would say that, but they're both so good. Thomas didn't miss a beat when Bridgewater was there, but I think long-term, the chemistry they have together is just something that is very unique. So yeah, that's where I stand. I personally do not think Drew Brees is washed up, and I don't think he's even lost a step. I think he's still very good. Again, he's at the age where you never know. He could fall off a cliff. that does happen to some quarterbacks, and it doesn't happen to others. So we'll have to wait and see. It's kind of crazy. He's still playing at a high level at the age he is currently at. So what do you guys think about Drew Brees, and how well do you think he can be next year? I obviously think he can be very good, but again, like I've said 1,000 times now, he could fall off a cliff. It just depends. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.